I came to study in the US, Smith College, a women's college established in 1875. The founder of the school, Sophia Smith, daughter of a wealthy Massachusetts family, inherited the fortune of his father and decided that using this legacy in the funding of a university for women was the best way for her to fulfill the moral obligation she expressed in her will. On leaving Paris, I did not imagine that the meeting was to immerse me in a historical period of a culture that I still knew little about, that of China.
My name is Yuanyuan, and I'm 30 years old. I turned 30 here at Smith. So I was born in a small town in China. It is small but very famous because this is the place where Chinese soldiers defeated the Japanese ones for the first time in the Sino-Japanese War. When I was 18 years old, I got enrolled in Yantai University, and Yantai is one of the most beautiful universities in China. I continued to do my school there, and after my graduation, I got a teaching position in the same city. So then my whole family moved to Yantai. I met my husband there. We got married there, and our little baby girl Stella was born in the year 2010. This is my life.
Oh,
miss
so
you.
good. So good. Likewise. Likewise. So what are you working on today?
Few.
So I noticed you had a box on hold. Is
My box, yes.
your box?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. I come to Smith for my research. My topic is on female language education in the earlier 20th century China. So I chose two cases. One is Jinling College. So in my reading of the literature, I found that Jinling College was in a sister college relationship with Smith for 35 years. Jinling was a missionary college. Then I became very curious about Smith College. And secondly is that I has always been in the co-education institute. So I really want to experience a life, in a women's college, single-sex educational institute. It's very exciting. So because my major is applied linguistics, and my professor is doing historiography of linguistics, And then we agreed to do a project on the Chinese women's language learning history, female language education, and the creating of Chinese new women in the Republic of China, which is in the earlier 20th century. So by adopting the theoretical framework of language learning and identity research, I hope to examine how, in that period of time, how this macro and micro context have an impact on Chinese women's, learning of language, Mandarin and English at the time. Because nowadays, scholars in linguistic fields agree that learning a language is also a social process. So by learning this language, in the process of learning a language, the students are also negotiating their identities. And then at the period of time, we had this this generation of Chinese new women. I want to examine how they grew up as Chinese new women in their learning of these two new languages, Mandarin and English.
We have books for you?
No, I'm going to the special collections
Okay.
to read archives.
Okay, do you know where it is?
This one?
Adam, are you working?
I am now.
Okay, could you show this young lady where our special collections is?
How are you? I'm well.
This is amazing. They have a complete collection of every teacher of Jilin College. Everyone. Oh my god. Photo? Oh my god. Okay, so these pictures need attention. Do you want to have a look at the picture?
What is it?
This is, it says, all the Jilin girls are helping a nurse in the hospital. I think, oh, wow, this is something I want. And then I open the folder and it's nothing I wanted. I want her personal writing, like her diary, her writing of her life, her thinking. And this all turned out to be her academic writing about geography. It's not what I want. So I can't use her as a case study. I need to find another Jilin girl to read about her life.
It was a president?
Yeah, let's try the president. She is not. She's just a teacher.
It was a teacher.
Okay. Hi.
Hello.
And the President Wu,
Yeah,
she would be a perfect example.
right.
But she just refused to talk about her personal life, her feelings. So all her correspondences and speeches, everything official,
Very official.
very
Yeah.
official.
But the interesting thing about Wu, it seems to me,
Okay,
is that she's a success story.
very, very.
And in the sense, she does everything that the
Yes.
teachers expect her
Yes,
to do.
yes,
By returning to China, by taking over Jinling,
yeah,
even by teaching that period of time when she's teaching and Meade is with her.
yeah,
So that, in a way, I think she's a critical story of someone who negotiates this. We don't have the data for what she was personally struggling, but she obviously was successful in resolving those conflicts.
yes, yes, yeah.
Could you tell me more about Minnie Vautrin and the role that she had at Jinling? How important was she as a teacher, as a leader at the institution prior to the war?
Prior to the war.
I mean, we know about
okay.
her heroism during the war.
Yes, yeah, and it's quite interesting because in reading Mrs. Liu's autobiography, she actually talked about Mini Vautry. You know, Mini Vautry was the only one who can speak fluently in Chinese. And then she helped the Chinese people so much. Like, she went to the neighborhood, very poor people. She went to the neighborhood to establish, you know, day school for the children, for the poor children. And she was able to talk very freely with the Chinese women.
Where did she learn her Mandarin?
There was a Yale kind of language school in Beijing.
I see.
For all the missionaries, they first went to this school to learn Chinese for a year, and then went to different places to do the missionary job.
But she learned it.
Very good. She was the only one that could speak that can speak fluent Chinese.
When she established the day school for the poor children, did the Jinling girls teach in that? Some of the students?
Yes. She organized all the Jinling girls to, you know, teach the day school, like to teach the students language and to help to teach them know how to do exercise. You know, like those kind of exercise. And I think that is because of her, you know, her language, and also like she spent so long a time in China that she established a very good relationship with Chinese women and Chinese, you know, children. So, you know, when all the faculty evacuated back to America, she refused to go. She said that those women and children, they need me. This is the perfect time to serve people. To serve, like she's to save and serve, like. And she said that our purpose is to let people know the love of God, and this is the time to prove it. So she refused to go. They gave her a Chinese name. Hua Qun 女士. Hua means China, Qun means people, like a group of people, the community. Like they really treated her as a member of their community. In China, we have this Buddhism tradition. And during the Nanjing massacre, the old women in Nanjing, they stopped, you know, hanging the pictures of the Buddha. Instead, they hang the picture of a Mini Vautry.
Oh, did they?
Yes, they kowtowed for her. They prayed for her. They prayed. You know, they asked God, please let Mini Vautry have a long, long life, so that she will help us, protect us, and save us.
And what did Mrs. Liu say about Mini Vautry?
That's a sad story. You know, because Mini Vautry, she was so depressed. She had this mental disorder, and she committed suicide.
When she goes back to the States, right?
Yes, here in America. And then her family, I think this is because of the Christian belief. Like, a person is not allowed to end your life because your life is come from God, right? And because Minnie committed suicide, so the whole family, not only the family but also the neighborhood, all the neighbors, they felt embarrassed and ashamed because of her behavior.
What is your occupation, Miss Vautrin?
As a member of the United Christian Missionary Society, I went to China to establish schools for girls and women.
How long did you work for them?
From 1912 to 1940.
Where did you work?
First I went to Hofei, and then I went home, got a graduate degree, came back to Jinling College for Women in Nanking.
What happened in the summer of 1937?
The Japanese invaded China. Chiang Kai-shek declared war, and by the middle of the autumn, the Japanese were bombing Nanking.
What did this mean for you as an American?
Well, the embassy ordered all Americans to go home, so I sent my colleagues back to the States.
Did you leave Nanking?
No, I was at that time acting president of Jinling. I was responsible for my students.
What did you hope to accomplish by staying?
Well, I wanted to protect my students and also set up a refuge for other young women.
How many women did you plan to accommodate?
Well, we had a beautiful campus of 40 acres with 7 buildings, so figuring 10 square feet a person, we figured we'd take on 2,700.
How many people were eventually housed at Jinling?
5 days after the Japanese entered the city, we had 10,000.
Were there any logistical difficulties?
It was terrible. We could only give people 1 bowl of rice gruel a day. There were not nearly enough blankets, not nearly enough anything.
Do you have any trouble with the Japanese at Jinling College itself?
Constantly. They were always trying to get in.
Was there any way that the campus was designated off limits to the Japanese?
Yes, we had a giant American flag on a flagpole. There were fences. There were walls.
Did you ever personally intervene to stop Japanese soldiers from entering the campus?
Yes, I would go to the front gate when they came with another flag, and any time I caught them coming in, I would chase them out.
How did the Japanese respond?
They would hit me, kick me, make me kneel in the mud.
Were any women taken away by the Japanese?
Yes. One day, for instance, we went out to try to stop some torture that was going on in the road, out front. And some soldiers got in behind me in the gate and dragged away some girls. And on a regular basis, they would go somewhere over a fence at night and drag someone away. They started calling it the lottery.
Did you make any other efforts to stop the Japanese soldiers from barging into the campus?
Yes, I went to the Japanese embassy, and with a very high-ranking officer, I negotiated.
Did you come to an agreement with the officer?
Yes.
What were the terms of the agreement?
If I would let them take 100 girls, they would leave the rest alone.
Did you ever see those women again?
No.
How did all of this affect you?
This was my family. Those were my daughters. It broke my heart.
I wish I can find a teaching position in one prestigious university in Beijing or in my hometown. And then I really need to take a break from hard working, researching everything. I want to spend most of my time with my baby girl. I have to leave her for my research, and it's really hard for me. It's the most painful thing happened to me until now. So I just want to go back and get a job, and then spend my time with her, and then gradually I will return back to my research. And me and my husband, we have no requirement for her. We just want her to grow up happily, and I don't need her to be a PhD student as her mom. Me and my husband, all we want for her is to see the world and have a lovely family. That's the most important thing.小兔子爱跳舞，这跳跳，又跳跳，爱吃胡萝卜、青菜、水果，咔哧咔哧咔哧哟。对，大树底下有一个小鸟。
大树底下，有一个小鸟。
啊，对，大树底下有一只小鸟。小鸟在叫吗？叫，它该怎么叫啊？
这样叫的。
怎么叫的？
喳喳喳哈，叽叽叽这样的叫。